Welcome to the Rewilded Human podcast, where Dr. Lucille and Lynn will tackle your most difficult and intimate questions with candor, tough love, and a little dash of humor. In today's episode,
if it's happening with every single guy, no matter what, and you're the common denominator, you do have an issue.
Go camping for a weekend or for a week. They say you can reset your circadian rhythm just by going out like once a month and sleeping under the stars, and everything changes. So I would try to put her in a different environment with these same men to see how things would change.
Those are the people who are leading really unhappy lives, but they're not dealing with their stuff. The way they deal with their stuff is to find dirt on other people that makes them feel superior.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 39. I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Dr. Lucille, where we'll be answering your most intimate questions. And today we've got four really, really interesting questions from you guys, and we can't wait to jump right in. Dr. Lucille, please take it away.
Thank you, Lynn. It's always a pleasure to be here. So we start with Shelagh. Shelagh, who can't find the man of her dreams. I've been dating for years, and I'm only coming up with losers. My friends tell me I'm too picky and judgmental. To some extent, they're right, because when I see a red flag, I go after it like a heat-seeking missile. There's the red flag. Thank you, Lynn. I love the prop. And often I create major arguments that end the relationship. I have no idea why I'm so angry, except that I've been burnt by men before, and my parents were really bad role models because they fought all the time, and my father was self-centered and abusive. Is it that the guys I date are all losers, or I have a problem with my temper? What do you think, Lynn?
Well, that's a really interesting one. The first thing that kind of came to my mind, that a lot of times temper, bad mood, anger, and things like that can be related to lifestyle. It can be related to diet and lifestyle choices, how much you're sleeping, how much time you're spending on the devices, in Wi-Fi, how little time you're spending in nature, and how much caffeine you're drinking, how much alcohol you're drinking. So I don't know, for some reason, that was the first thing that jumped into my mind, that perhaps it's not really a personality issue so much as a environmental lifestyle issue. So that would be one thing that I would suggest for Shelagh to look at, to make sure she's not just being overstimulated. And that's why she's losing her patience with people in our modern lifestyle, right? We are just, too much stuff is going on, and we have no patience for anyone. And if you would take these same guys and maybe take them out for a beautiful hike somewhere, and disconnect from your phones and from everything else, would you still feel like that towards them? Or would you be more calm? Go camping for a weekend or for a week. They say you can reset your circadian rhythm just by going out like once a month and sleeping under the stars, and everything changes. So I would try to put her in a different environment with these same men to see how things would change.
Well, I agree thoroughly, but I also see that the psychological and the physical aren't always separate. The physical, everything you've said is perfectly correct. And one thing I've noticed a lot of is, people with anger issues are also, they tend to have alcohol issues a lot of the time. So, and they don't usually open up about that. I'm not saying, Shelagh, that you do, but often they will kind of hide it. And then you realize there's a pattern here, that every time they go out for drinks, they start an argument. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's something that's really, really important. But the problem here also is, if it's happening with every single guy, no matter what, and you're the common denominator, you do have an issue.
Could she be attracting the wrong kind of men?
Yeah, but that's an issue she has to deal with in herself. Why is she attracting the wrong kind of men? And sometimes, what I see is people who say, I really desperately want a partner, I would love to get married, on and on. But then they always find red flags that they just can't let go of. And they always kind of sabotage the relationship. Now, this is not uncommon. And one thing that you have to be on the lookout for is, as much as part of you wants an intimate relationship, is there another part of you that is afraid of getting intimate?
Or
Is there
think that
another?
you're not worthy, or you
Yeah,
don't deserve it.
exactly. I don't deserve it. I'm really not worthy. They're going to reject me, so I better reject them first. And so, you pick at something in them and then make it a huge big deal, and until you push the guy away.
I definitely know people like this.
Yes, absolutely. And then you start complaining, oh, there are no good guys out there. But the thing is, you know what? Everybody's going to have their stuff that they bring into a relationship. You're not perfect. They're not perfect. So if you cannot start understanding the guy, you try to, rather than attack him, if you see contradictions, you get curious. You just get curious and see if the two of you have the ability to just peacefully get to know one another. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically decide to marry, but you might want to practice honing your temper down if you can. Maybe not drinking on dates if you know.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
And it's huge. And just really listening to your partner, with the person you're dating, with curiosity. And if you point something out that you're curious about that you don't understand, then you learn how mature that person is if they can not get defensive, if they don't, evade the question, and they say, you've made an interesting point, and I've sometimes wondered about that for myself. Like maybe, I'm too much this way, and I should be a little more that way. You just get a feel for the person much more than if you just launch into World War III.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you'll know if you can, resolve things and deal with things at a mature level.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned the alcohol, because that is a huge factor. And we watch a lot of reality shows with my husband, and there, especially reality shows where you're trying to find a partner. Those we find really funny. And always there's alcohol involved, because I guess they want the drama in the shows. And you see these people, they are acting kind of normal, and they're getting on well. And then once you add the alcohol into the mix, everyone's fighting and killing each other and not tolerant of the other person. So that is actually really huge, and that can be a big issue, especially when you're trying to find a partner. So what about she mentions her parents and the bad role models that she had. Do you think that could also, her father could also?
Absolutely, that she may have been traumatized without realizing it. By all the anger, and it does imprint. It does imprint on the nervous system, and then it's like you have an image of all men being angry and self-centered and abusive, and again, it's that situation we talked about in another episode of, I will never ever marry or get involved with a guy like my dad, but because I've got him in my head, guess what I keep coming up with is men like that, right?
You attract what you don't want, and what you want the most, and what you don't want the most. You attract both.
Yes. So that's a great point, Lynn. Absolutely.
Sheila, what can we tell you, girl?
You need help.
You need help. Yeah, you need to sort yourself out. Excuse me. You need to sort yourself out first.
Yeah, I doubt that it's all the guys that are that are losers. I mean, I'm sure that they may not be the best picks on a date. You're the common denominator. You have to deal with yourself first.
Yeah. So work on yourself, and hopefully you start attracting the right guy.
Yeah.
And when the right guy comes along, please don't scare him away.
Well, you'll have worked on yourself enough that you won't be scared.
That you won't. Exactly. Yeah. Very good point. John wants to protect his privacy. This is our next question. I'm 38 years old and have a steady professional job. I'm heterosexual, and I've had a few girlfriends, but nothing worked out. Recently, I moved into a house in a new neighborhood. The neighbors have been really friendly, but sometimes too friendly. Some of them are asking questions that make me uncomfortable, like why I'm not married. I've even heard a rumor that they think I'm gay. I just want to live a quiet, private life. How do I get them off my back and still maintain a respectful neighborly relationship? Well, John, you can move. that's what neighbors are so hard, you know, like we've moved around so much. So we've had some nice neighbors, we've had some neighbors from hell. I think ultimately what for me is to kind of just to stay away from the neighbors, because you can have less issues just being polite, saying hello, and not really getting involved, not letting them into your business. I think that's always healthier. You know, on TV, you always see, especially on American TV, all these happy neighbors and hello, Mr. Jones, how are you today? Here's some cookies and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's not really like that, right? Most of the time, it doesn't work out like that. So I don't know what kind of place John lives in or what kind of neighborhood, but it sounds like, you know, there's quite a community and everyone's chatting and gossiping, and he says it's a friendly neighborhood, maybe they're having like swinger parties and they just want to invite him and they don't know, you know, which kind of party, you know, which side he's swinging on. Maybe they're trying to find that out and he's just judging it too much. I don't know. Lucille, how are you with your neighbors? What do you think of neighbors?
Yeah, I agree with you that you have to be careful. And I live in a really lovely community. Most people are very friendly, but we're densely packed in together. You know, it's a lovely community, but we're too much on each other's, you know, in each other's pockets because of the density of the housing here. I have always maintained a bit of a distance from a lot of my neighbors until I've gotten to know them, because I've lived in this neighborhood for a very long time. And so over time, the ones who have stayed, who've been there for the longest, and you chat with them every once in a while when you see them out in their garden, all that, then you get to know who you can talk to, who's more trustworthy, is not going to get in your business, but it takes a while. It really does. And there are neighbors here I wouldn't trust as far as I could throw them. You know, I
hope they're not watching this. You know who you are.
But you know, that's going to be, no matter where you go, you're going to find that. Like Lynn is, how many countries have you lived in now?
Oh my God, a lot, like 12 countries, but like we've moved to like since my son was born 27 years ago, we've lived in like, I don't know, like 35 different houses. So like,
my God,
it's insane. We've moved.
So you've had tons of experience said earlier with this. But you have to also remember, John, that you are, you know, totally entitled to your privacy. And those people who are trying to kind of weasel their way in there and, you know, try and find some dirt on you, because that's what they're doing. Those are the people who are leading really unhappy lives, but they're not dealing with their stuff. The way they deal with their stuff is to find dirt on other people that makes them feel superior. And it gives them fodder for gossip. And one of the things that these people love to do is spread the gossip around, because it makes them special. You know, they have special information on the guy who just moved into number 38. And it's a very ugly form of bonding that can happen with nosy, negative neighbors. You know, it's like, you really don't want to get caught up in that. So I would just say, be fully entitled to have nothing to do with them. Like fully
you can just
entitled.
say I'm very busy. Sorry, guys, you know, I work from home. I'm really busy. I don't have time. You can also put like this big sign on your, you know where I'm going with this, on your yard, that, you know, trespassers will be shot or something like that. Visitors not welcome, you know, instead of the welcome back, not welcome. But I think it's better to just be upfront from the beginning and just say, look, guys, sorry, I don't socialize a lot. I'm super busy. You know, I've got family commitments, friends or whatever. And just, you know, say hello, be polite.
Just, you know, you don't even have to give them any information about, you know, why you're so busy. Like you can, you know, they come to you and they're going to start a conversation. Sounds like they already have tried to do that. They're going to start a conversation and you're going to go, oops, time to go. Sorry, I'm late or whatever. Even if you're late or having some downtime, you always have something to do. John, you always have something to do. So you can always exit the scene. Okay. Now, for some real, you know, really aggressive nosy parkers, and they grab you as you're heading towards your car. And then they're, hi, how are you doing? What's happening with you? And by the way, we noticed that, you don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a wife, like the really aggressive ones. And they start, interrogating you. You can always say something very neutral, like, why is it important for you to know? Often that's enough to kind of shut them off. They'll kind of go off in a huff. Oh, well, if you're going to be that way, and they make it sound like you're the unfriendly one. Great. You got them off your back. But that's kind of an extreme. Most of the time, if you're just busy, people will learn to just, give you distance, give you space.
Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely. Try that, John, and let us know how that works. And respect their space. Ask them to respect yours. Expect them to respect yours. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so we're on to Rosemary, who is shocked by her own behavior. I'm so upset and ashamed. I don't know where to turn. I discovered my partner has been cheating on me with his secretary for the past year. When I found out, I lost my mind and started screaming and yelling and kicking him. The police were called and I was arrested and was placed under a peace bond. I also hit my daughter around the same time when she mouthed off to me. So Children's Aid Society is now investigating the incident. I'm so afraid of what other people, especially in my industry, will think of me if this ever gets out. I've had a hot temper all my life, but I only ever ended up screaming and throwing things at my partner until now. Do you think I need anger management training?
Oh, no, you're good. No, definitely not. Why would you? I wonder what industry she's in. I don't know why. I was just
obviously something that may be high profile enough.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to unpack there. Wow.
Lots to unpack. I'm sorry. Anger management is like saying, I've got a massive cancer on my abdomen and I'm going to put a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah.
No, it won't work. I mean, yes, you can do some anger management, learn some techniques, but you need some deep therapy.
Yeah.
Because we've had this issue for a very long time. I also don't know what else is going on for you, Rosemary, but again, deep-seated anger issues can be due to many different things, including childhood sexual or physical abuse, witnessed trauma as you're growing up, like your father beat your mother, for example, that sort of thing. There can be issues of alcohol abuse or drug abuse that we're not hearing in this question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I think one of the things that is important to note here is that there's much more emphasis on shame, her own shame, rather than the shock of her becoming so violent. So the shock of becoming so violent is a little more like, oh my God, I have violated my own value systems, my morals, my standards. I never want to be violent with people. This is horrible to me that I've made people suffer, even though my ex is a, PRICK. I don't know who I am when I'm like this. This is horrible. I never want to be there. That's different from, oh my God, what will people think?
Yeah.
Oh, there's something a little bit off about that.
Yeah.
Like it's not about you, Rosemary. It's about what damage you're creating in other people's lives. Right?
Yeah.
And if you're starting to, hit your daughter, I mean, that's horrible. That you really are starting perhaps a lifetime of her having unresolved trauma issues.
Yeah. Or you can lose her. I mean, she can end up losing her.
You need to maybe question why you're so focused on how you appear to others more than the damage that you're doing.
Yeah, and you know, the way she mentions that she used to just, you know, scream and throw things until now, which is kind of okay, you know, because that's not really physical abuse, right? That's fine. Nobody gets upset about that. But I mean, she's almost like justifying that. That's kind of normal. Nothing wrong with that. But now she went a little bit overboard, right?
That's right. So that's a really good point you made, Len, that she's really kind of normalizing and minimizing her violence
Yeah,
that she's, because that's still violence, you know,
of
screaming at
course.
people, throwing things, that's
Throwing
still violence.
things? Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can you imagine the trauma in that, you know, household for the child, for her partner, it's just what a horrible, horrible situation. Yeah, she definitely Rosemary, you need to get help. I mean,
yeah. And I don't mean, and I know Lynn doesn't mean to be very critical of you. It's more that my purpose is really to wake you up to the real problem. There is a
yeah,
major deep-seated problem. You will never be free of it unless you really take a good look at that. And that likely will require therapy, a lot of therapy.
yeah. And hopefully you can, you know, fix the relationship with your daughter without leaving any long-term damage, mental damage or emotional damage for her, because that's a very, very sad situation.
It is, yes.
Oh, tough one, very tough one. Good luck to you, Rosemary, and
Let's hope you find the help that that you really need and you're ready to accept it. Yeah.
yeah, I hope so. I really hope so too. Guys, that brings us to the final question of the day, and this is from Marta. Marta has a strong urge to find her biological parents. I was adopted when I was just a few months old. I love my adoptive parents, but ever since I found out I'd been adopted, I've had lots of questions about my biological parents. I've even daydreamed about what they might be like and why they decided to give me up. I'm 21 years old and I have the right to apply to get my adoption record from the agency I was given up to. I have such a strong need to meet my parents, or at least my biological mother, if she's still alive and wants to meet me. And I'm also afraid of what I might find out. What should I do? It's a really, really tough one. I had a very good friend back in Canada who went through this. She was adopted and she went to find her mom, her biological mom, and I was with her through the whole process and everything. And it ended up being quite a big disappointment for her. It wasn't what she expected. I think it's really, really tough for people that grow up knowing that they're adopted, even though they're special and they know they were chosen and they have this beautiful family that really cares for them and loves them. You always have this thing in the back of your mind that, you know, I was thrown away. Like, why didn't my parents want me? Why didn't my mother want me? What's wrong with me? So I think there's always a lot of that. And there's a lot of questions that you don't have answers for. So I think if it gives you peace to find those answers, even though they might not be what you're looking for, because sometimes you find out that, oh, they already had 4 kids and they didn't want a 5th one. And that's kind of traumatizing, rather than, you know, the mother was 16 years old and just couldn't have a baby or something like that. So it really depends on the circumstances. So, but I think she needs to be ready to accept whatever comes her way if she decides to look. And also perhaps the mother doesn't want to meet her. That's also
That could be, that could be another possibility. Yeah, I think that's really wise. Everything you've said is absolutely true. And yeah, no matter what the outcome, at least you'll have closure. You'll know one way or another, and you'll stop the yearning. But you're right, Marta, that you could maybe face a shock. It could be really hard to maybe you meet up. I've had this experience too with a client where she did meet up with her biological mother.
Yeah.
And the mother was, a heavy drinker and very angry victim. She felt that life had treated her badly. And she really couldn't connect with her biological daughter. So my client, it was very painful. My client tried and tried because she actually did not have a really good relationship with her adoptive mother. Beautiful relationship with her adoptive father, which that stabilized her. That was great.
Yeah.
But she tried so hard because there was this hope in her that she would find the mother that she never had.
Mm.
And the woman that gave birth to her was really not there for her at all, and was very, very difficult to be with.
And it didn't make her appreciate her adoptive mother more.
No, because her adoptive mother was a real piece of work, unfortunately. But she was able to heal from it and get over it. We helped her get over the trauma of it. And she always had beautiful, beautiful memories of her father, who loved her to pieces. He loved her unconditionally. So she had that. And she had a really good relationship with her sister, who was the biological daughter of her parents, adoptive parents. So she did get over it. And I think in the end, she was okay with having gone to the extent of finding her biological mother, because it just answered all sorts of questions. And again, she got some resolution. It wasn't what she wanted, but she got some resolution. So one of the things, Marta, I would suggest to you is to really examine what your hopes and expectations are. Be very honest with yourself. What do you really want out of this?
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, and what if it didn't happen? What if I couldn't get what I wanted? Would it still be worth it to me to try? And so I think you need to do that deep dive on yourself before you go out there and try to find your biological parents. That would be the only thing I would say. Also, there's lots of support now for children who've been adopted, is Facebook groups and things like that. So you might want to do a little bit of research. You might want to talk to other kids who've done this and see if you can learn more, and maybe they can help you cope better with this, whether you do go ahead with it or you don't.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And I think you always have this picture in your head, like, of this perfect ideal mother, and that you're gonna have this beautiful relationship. But in the end, it's like after 21 years, that person's a complete stranger to you. And it's either you guys are a match or you're not. I mean, you could be completely different and feel nothing for each other. And you're expecting these strong emotions that were built up inside of you, but you might see this woman and feel nothing. Or you might see this woman and feel like, oh my God, this is the feeling that I've been looking for my whole life. So it's really tough one. I can't even imagine this situation. Lucille, do you find that people who grew up, who were adopted, do they grow up with a lot of trauma, a lot of issues emotionally?
Not necessarily. No, I don't think it's more, the one thing they do have in common is this usually this longing to find their biological parents. A lot of them do come from very happy, healthy homes, or at least, they're good enough homes where they always felt like, they were loved at least by one parent. And so it's not, I don't think that they suffer more from any other kind of dysfunction than children who are not adopted.
Yeah. What about having biological siblings? Does that make it more difficult? That are the biological children of the parents, and then you're the odd one out. Does that make it more difficult?
Again, it depends on the family constellation. Sometimes the siblings can be very warm or welcoming. It's not 100%. But if they know that there was a child that was adopted out, often they also have a curiosity and a desire to meet. Other times they're threatened. Other cases that I know about where the children of the biological parents are threatened by the adoptive child coming back in. It's like they're going to upset the pecking order, or get favored by their parents, or what have you. So they're all very different. There's not, in my experience, I haven't seen anything that's cookie cutter the same, basically.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
Well, Marta, please do write back to us, because we'd really like to know how it goes and what you decide to do. And if you do meet your parents, we'd love to hear the story and see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, so thank you everybody for your amazing questions. These were really great. I hope all of you out there got something out of our episode. We certainly enjoyed it, didn't we,
Always.
Lynn?
Always.
So thank you very, very much for showing up here. Please remember to comment, like, share, leave a review, subscribe. And Lynn and I, are only too honored to be here. So thank you very much.
Thank
And
you, guys.
we'll see you in the next episode.
See you in the next episode, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please be aware that Lynn and I are here to provide insights, advice, stories that are for educational and entertainment purposes only. None of our content should be considered to be personal, medical, or mental health therapy. If you are experiencing a mental health or physical health challenge, please consult the appropriate healthcare specialist. We are here to provide the best possible content in an atmosphere of positive conversation and personal growth.